Hello, Tiger sports fans, and welcome back for another week of the Perry Thomas Show here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you once again as we recap Campbellsville's opening week ball game as they travel to Williamsburg, Kentucky. A 23-17 final score. Cumberland's coming out on top, and we're joined by the head coach, Coach Perry Thomas. And Coach, it's always good to finally get that first one under your belt, see what you've got, see what you have to work with. Obviously not the outcome you wanted, but some positives and negatives to learn and grow from both.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to play. It's great to play, and especially with a young team, because it's hard in practice to mimic what you're going to see in games. So you get out there and you get to find out what you have, and you get to find out the things you need to take out of your systems and the things you need to add, but also the things you need to fix. And the guys get to see it in live competition against another color jersey. So it was a great game for us from the standpoint of being able to come back and try to make some corrections and move on as the season goes on. Now, the thing we have to do is continue to grow and get better. You know, we played young at times against a very good team, so we'll improve.
And for those following along on television, we'll take a quick look at a graphic there. You can see the final score of that ball game. Hunter Brown finishes 21 of 39, 168 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns for your young signal caller. And we'll talk with Coach Hunter Cantwell a little later about Hunter Brown. But a young guy, first start in varsity play, and he looked pretty good for what you would expect there.
Yeah, I thought Hunter did a pretty good job, actually. Many of the miscues in the passing game wasn't on him. It was on some of our receivers and some of our protection sometimes. But I thought first game of the year he did a good job. He stepped in and played a good game. He was solid, didn't panic, had a great deal of poise. And he tried to do what he could for us to win. We'll shore up some of those things that we had issues with, and I think he'll have some breakout games.
Justin Ramos led the way in tackles, 12 tackles from the safety position, and one of those things that you get a team that runs the ball so much, those numbers could be skewed anyway because you don't have those dead plays of maybe incomplete passes.
Yeah, and in our style of defense, our safeties will make a lot of plays because we actually roll our coverage quite a bit where they roll down in the box on the snap. But at the same time, there's too many for them to be making. We missed a lot of plays in the box that we should have been making, and credit some of that to the Cumberlands because they are a solid football team. But a great deal of that was our mistakes also.
And the big factor in the game, the big storyline was the run game of Cumberland. 65 rushes, 372 yards, Coach, and time of possession, a big thing. Over 37 minutes of time of possession in that game.
Yeah, I mean they were able to move the ball, especially that fourth quarter when we need to get off the field. They were able to get some first downs and so forth. And a big problem is we just got to get better in our fits, and that's a young team. A young team, when the ball was coming off tackle, our linebackers were stepping up inside sometimes, and our monsters weren't filling lanes, and we just have to improve our fundamentals. And then another factor is that offensively we have to be able to move the ball also. 37 minutes possession time, part of it goes to the defense, but also part of it goes to the fact that we only had 209 yards, and that's not typical for us. So there's some things we have to fix, but once again, we credit Cumberland's for doing a great job.
Coach Thomas and the Tigers will get back to action this Thursday. They'll travel to the University of Pikeville for a matchup with the Bears. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff, the Tiger Tailgate Show at 6:30 on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. We'll step away, come back, and take a look at some of the highlights of that matchup with Cumberland's here on the Perry Thomas Show.
Excellence.
Nurturing.
Rooted.
Diversity.
Experience personal, academic, and spiritual growth at Campbellsville University.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton with you as we recap the Tigers ball game at Williamsburg, Kentucky against the University of the Cumberlands last Thursday with the head coach of Fighting Tiger football, Perry Thomas. And Coach, we had talked a little bit in that first segment about some of the things that you guys can work on and do, but we've talked in the past about that matchup with Cumberland's, that run-heavy, oriented offense that they have. Good, bad, right out of the gate to see something so unique.
Well, I mean, I actually liked it. Some coaches don't like it, but what they do isn't complicated. It's not like a Reinhardt wing T misdirection offense. It's just either straight option football, which can be a chore early in the year, or it's straight power football. And most of the stuff they ran against us the other night was just a dive and some power ball. You just have to attack and be in your fits. So it's a little easier to be in those fits early than it is to have to read a lot of misdirection and so forth. We just did a poor job of being in our fits against a good team. So you put the combination that they're a good football team and we did a poor job of getting in our fits together, and you get exploited for a ton of running yards.
Well, those following along on WLCU TV, we take a look at some of the highlights from this past week's game, and right off the bat, you get the season started. Kendon Young, it almost was reminiscent of that Jared Harrington return a few years ago at Lindsey Wilson. It looked like you were going to have that big return right out of the gate, taking it to the house, but Kendon Young makes a statement on his first play as a Tiger.
Yeah, and that's great to see him get going. That'll get him some confidence that should last throughout the season for him to get him going. It was great for our kicking game, and I thought our kicking game played well the other night. We did a good job in kicking game, and it was great to get the offense out on the field and get rolling.
Short throws early from Hunter Brown. You try to establish Tyus Alcorn. He had 5 early catches. First drive stalls out, but here in just a moment we'll see Cumberland's comes back and they fumble the ball on a pitch. It looks like Torres Boyd kind of got his feet in the way of Adam Craig there as he was fighting off a block. Fumble, and you guys get set up, go in and kick that early field goal.
Right. We basically hurt ourselves early in our first series offensively. We got some penalties and so forth, but we was able to come back and get the ball back from them. Stop their drive. They were moving the ball and was able to get a big takeaway, which is big for us. We're going to have to live off of takeaways for a while.
And we'll talk to Hunter Cantwell later, special teams coordinator as well, and a lot of new faces in that special teams unit. And talked about that field goal that you guys knocked through. Bradley Bates, a local talent, comes in and his first field goal attempt of the season, he bangs it right through, and a nice long field goal for Bradley.
Not bad at all. And that's been a concern for us in practice is how well we will be able to snap and hold and kick those field goals. And Bradley came in and Austin Hash hit the long snapper, and they did an excellent job. And we jumped up on the board pretty quick right there.
And then come back, you got that 3-0 lead. Cumberland's another fumble. Lane Stagnoli. Now, I'm not sure what happened. Did Lane actually just take the ball away? Or
I think he knocked it.
I
think we got a helmet on the ball and it dropped down, and he was able to get on it and recover it for us.
Come out quickly. You score a touchdown. I believe play action. Cruz Coulter comes through for you here. You can see Tyus Alcorn in the middle of the field with a quick catch.
Yeah, and that was a big third down catch, if I remember correctly, to give us to advance the sticks. And then, we got some tight ends this year that we feel real comfortable throwing to. I think that we'll see some more scores from those guys as the season goes on.
Good pocket presence and awareness there by Hunter Brown. Slides away from pressure. Nice pick up, and then there's the touchdown to Cruz Coulter. It looked like they may have sold out on Keanu there, a little flare out of the backfield perhaps.
Yeah, and I thought Hunter did a good job of showing his arm strength right there. People talk about Jake and how good Jake was. Hunter actually has a stronger arm, I think, than Jake did. And, I think he did a good job there showing his arm strength and getting that ball off.
10-0, the early lead, and Cumberland's with the big crowd. This is the first Thursday night game for them. You knew that they wouldn't just go away and kept battling with you there in the end of the first half, and they come out and score 13 straight there.
Yeah, they, we talked to our guys about it, that it was going to be a hostile environment for them, and that's tough for a lot of young guys. But to our guys' credit, we made a lot of mistakes. There's no doubt about that, but our guys didn't quit. Our guys fought hard, and we was in the game until it was over. If we could get a stop on that last drive, we still have a chance to score, and we just couldn't get a stop.
And here you see Adam Craig under center for Cumberland's, and his only touchdown pass of the game, I believe. There he finds a man in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, they called us with a little play action right there, and that's going to happen some, especially with young DBs. We got a couple of freshmen back there playing and a lot of inexperience, but we'll get better at that. But, we was able to do our little quick kick a couple of times in the game, and that's always a good weapon for us. It's a weapon you hope to never have to use, but it does come in handy.
Well, and you talk about it coming in handy. It just presents so many problems for the defense. If I back one off, you give them the ability to go for it with the numbers game and different things.
Yeah, you get to, in that case, I think we downed it on the 5-yard line, and, they have to travel the length of the field now to score on you.
Second half, a tight battle back and forth. Hunter Brown again, quick throw, gets rid of it, a little comeback route as Zarek Willis makes that catch, and then Adam Craig a handoff to Clausen. The defense in the second half, I felt like you guys made some adjustments, and they started to figure some things out after they had seen that offense a little.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought we played much better in the second half, and then at the end we kind of got a little gassed. They just kept bringing those bodies. And I tell you what, as ugly as we felt like the game was as a full team, we were still a play away from winning this ball game against a very good football team. And you look back, we had a couple of touchdowns dropped, clean drops, no hits, just dropped. We had another should-be touchdown where young man ran out of bounds to catch the, and the quarterback winds up throwing it out of bounds because that's where he ran the route. So, I mean, right there's 3 potential scores that we let get away from us. So we're 1 or 2 stops away in the fourth quarter on defense from having a chance to win this game. And that's encouraging.
Chance Goodman, quick little screen pass here. That was a perfect play call by Coach Garris. The blitz came from the outside. Chance Goodman right up the middle on the screen on that play, Coach. And here you see Hunter Brown roll out as Eric Willis wide open in the corner, but he goes to Kendon Young over the middle and an acrobatic catch by the young freshman.
Well, and Kendon's a big target. It's kind of like having Zarek and Tyus out there. They got a little length to them, so we can kind of throw it up there in the right spot and make some plays. And you'll see us, hit those type of routes more.
And here was maybe the play of the game, or what could have been. You talked about maybe one play from winning this ball game, and the interception there defensively, and it looked like you may have a chance to return that one for a touchdown.
I was running the sideline with him, hoping that we could get it in there. We just couldn't get it done. And we finally get a stop there with about 17 seconds left, and it really put us in a hole. Went for a couple of Hail Marys, and that's our only turnover in the game. And I thought that's encouraging because you really scratch that off the board that, we played the entire game without any turnover.
Yeah, and you forced Cumberland's into 3.
Right.
So, I mean, outside of that very last play, it's a 3-0 score there in terms of the turnover game. Well, Coach, we'll step away. We'll come back and get the thoughts from Coach Hunter Cantwell, the quarterback's coach and special teams coordinator, and then we'll have you step back in later for thoughts on Pikeville. Stay with us here on the Perry Thomas Show.
A champion doesn't get days off. It takes determination and drive to realize goals. From long nights to early mornings. From the courts to the classrooms to online. At Campbellsville University, this is why we play. This is how we learn. This is where champions are made. Find your calling for a life change at campbellsville.edu.
Welcome back to the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton here with you as we visit now with the quarterback's coach and special teams coordinator of Fighting Tiger football, Coach Hunter Cantwell. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes to stop by this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First game under your belt, you got a new signal caller. It's kind of a new thing. Last year you had, Jake Russell, and we can talk about the accolades and the abilities, but this year for you, a guy that you're familiar with, very familiar with, in Hunter Brown, but now he takes the reins of this program. Talk me through how that changes things just a little for you.
Yeah, we've been excited for Hunter to take the reins for a long time. Obviously, transitioning from a Jake Russell to a Hunter Brown, there's definitely a different approach to how you prepare, one over the other. But Hunter's put in the work in the off season and had a great camp, and we felt confident going into Thursday night's game that he'd perform well, and he did.
And how does it help Hunter as well as he's sitting behind a guy like Jake Russell? He gets to watch him day in and day out in practice, and he's a guy that's been around. This is his 4th year on campus with that red shirt, so he's a guy that's been around. But how does that help Hunter, and have you seen any of that, maybe some Jake Russell tendencies out of Hunter this season?
Oh yeah, that's huge. Jake's approach to the game, the mental side, as well as the physical side. As a coach, you can talk about those things till you're blue in the face, but if the guys don't take ownership of it, then it falls on deaf ears. And for Hunter to see Jake really excel in every aspect of that, and see the success he had is just continuing to enforce, from a coach's standpoint, what you're trying to get done at the quarterback position. And so I think that's huge, and that's continued to help his growth.
Do you ever get to the point where maybe you have to kind of step back and say, I'm not talking to number 5. I've got a new guy here that maybe you have to break things down for a little more. You catch yourself maybe expecting something, him to see something that he wouldn't and Jake did, or anything like that?
Yeah, honestly, no. Hunter's very talented and very intelligent as well, and just like Jake. I think the big difference, was really this past week, just kind of preparing him going into his first game, and talking about some just basic things that we were looking from him on Thursday night. But outside of that, very similar approach.
Two other guys on the roster, the backups, and we'll touch on them, guys that we don't necessarily hope we'll see, but if they get in games in a late blowout, that's fine. Eli Mitchell, Marty White, two guys on the roster as well. Talk to us just a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, Eli's really, really good. You know, Eli would be a starter on most teams in this conference. There's no doubt in my mind. He's a big kid. He's accurate. He's got a great arm. He's intelligent. We just feel very blessed at the quarterback position this year. You know, having a guy like Hunter start and Eli being there, you know, we don't think we'd miss a beat if Eli had to play. Now, hopefully Hunter stays healthy. But that speaks volumes to the type of player Eli Mitchell is. And we also feel good about Marty. You know, Marty's a Fern Creek product out of Louisville, Kentucky. Very athletic, kind of brings a different dynamic than Eli and Hunter do. But we're excited about him as well, and he's shown a lot of progress in his years, you know, here learning from Jake and Hunter.
It's a small school, so multiple roles on the coaching staff. Another one that you have is special teams coordinator. Last year, a veteran group, so to speak. This year, a lot of new faces. Noah Bixler at punter. Bradley Bates takes over the kicking duties. Austin Hash, a true freshman, long snapping. Walk me through the transition here and kind of getting some of these young guys acclimated and ready to go.
Yeah, anytime you break in a new long snapper and a new punter, that raises the blood pressure a little bit. But they've done a great job all camp. I was interested to see how they would do on Thursday night, and they came up and played flawlessly. And so that's huge for our confidence going forward. Bradley Bates, you know, has had some varsity experience before this past year, but you know, he's the guy now at the place kicking position, and he did phenomenal on kickoffs, and obviously, you know, kicked a big field goal for us early in the game. So, you know, some of those key positions we're excited about, and we've also had to break in some new guys, you know, kind of in the auxiliary positions on the different teams, and they did a good job, and we've got to continue to work and get better.
As if the freshman battery of snapper and kicker and things like that, you've also got a freshman returner on the kickoff, and Kendon Young and Keanu also a sophomore. But Kendon, the big return, we talked to Coach Thomas about that earlier in the show. Kendon, a huge return there to start his career, and I mentioned kind of shades. I thought we were going to get another Jared Harrington moment there. Yeah,
you know, Kendon and Keanu, both very talented players, very gifted physically. I kind of joked with them before the game. You know, Keanu had a critical block to spring Kendon, and I was telling him, you know, guys, you know, first, you're all teammates. Second, you're family. If y'all don't block for each other, I'm going to be upset. And that's exactly what Keanu did. And you know, Kendon just let his athletic ability take over. You know, struggled a little bit kind of after that, and they did some things, had some adjustments for us. But moving forward, we feel really good about those two back there returning and our return game in general.
One thing that's been a valuable staple as we wrap up, Coach, over the last couple of years, and you used it twice the other night, has been the quick kick. And walk me through, what are you looking for on the sideline to know that that's something that you can use at a given time? In one particular instance this week, you guys pinned them inside the 10 down around the 5-yard line with that quick kick. Talk to me a little bit about the value of that play and what you're looking for to know when's a good time to go with it.
Yeah, you know, we always have it in our back pocket. That's a kind of discussion that myself, Coach Thomas, and Coach Garris have on the sideline. It's something that we don't want to get comfortable with, but something that we have. We kind of like to keep to ourselves, you know, when we feel is the need to use it. But it is something that, you know, can be effective. It's effective because, you know, we do like to go for it on fourth down when we're across the 50s. So as long as we continue to, you know, push the envelope and have success on fourth down on offense, then that'll be something that, you know, we'll show every now and then.
Well, we keep the quick kick a secret then, because I like the way it turns out for the Tigers. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes to stop by.
Thank you.
We'll step away, come back, and get Coach Perry Thomas's thoughts on this matchup with Pikeville here on the Perry Thomas Show.
Excellence.
Nurturing.
Rooted.
Diversity.
Experience personal, academic, and spiritual growth at Campbellsville University.
Thanks for staying with us on the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton with you as we welcome the head coach of the Fighting Tigers back in and get his thoughts on this matchup with Pikeville. And Coach, it's a 7 p.m. Familiar time frame and everything. Thursday night game. for you guys, 7 p.m. kickoff, and you've got a week of that under your belt here. This time school started, however, for the kids.
Yeah, I think our guys will be prepared for it. You know, fortunately, we've been going for a while now, so the school factor shouldn't factor in. We have a long trip, and we'll make it a one-day trip since it's a night game. But I think we'll be fine. You know, the only problem would be Pikeville. You know what I mean? Because they're a good, solid football team.
Pikeville got a win last week in kind of impressive fashion over
Right.
Bluefield. They trailed in that ball game, came back, and they actually won. You mentioned a free play at the end of the game,
Right.
and they were able to hold on the 1-yard line.
Yeah, Bluefield drove the ball down, and Pikeville was able to stop them. Actually, 2 plays. They stopped them on 4th, and then they had a penalty, so they had to stop them again, and they were able to stop them to secure the victory.
Pikeville, a team last year that had one of the best running backs in the country in Quan Weaver. He is not someone that shows up on the roster
Right.
for Pikeville at this time, but they still have some guys, Sonny Warren at quarterback and other playmakers for that U-Pike offense.
Yeah, I mean, and Weaver was first-team All-American, and he, you know, he showed it against us last year. Early in the year, we struggled a little bit with our fits, kind of like we are right now. And you know, we got that lined out as the year went on, but you know, we struggled early with that, and he exploited us some. And this year, they have guys that are capable of doing the same thing. Now, I'm not sure they're first-team All-American types, but they're really good. The quarterback runs the ball well, and those backs run it really well. They run zone read offense and play action off of that. So, big targets at receiver. Strong running game. I mean, we'll have our work cut out for us.
How easily does it translate with the team last week, you know, more option-based, and then you get a team this week with an athletic quarterback like Sonny Warren who can run, but it may not always be designed?
Well, you know, because we're not in true league play right now, you know, these are crossover games, we kind of focus a little different than maybe some teams. Our whole focus right now isn't even on game planning. Our focus offensively and defensively is just on fixing us. You know, when we get to, I guess, Faulkner, that's when we'll really start looking at game plans. But right now, kind of like last year's philosophy, we're trying to grow ourselves up. So we're focusing on the other team. Don't get me wrong, but we're focusing our game plans on fixing our fits on defense, fixing our blocking assignments on offense, doing those little things so you don't lose track of those. When you get into game planning, sometimes you throw something out to make something work this week, and we don't want to do that yet. We have to get better. So, you know, the transition should be easy because we're not focusing on the plays so much, but it's going to be tough to stop them just because of what they do.
Well, educate us on that. How much is looking at last year's film against Pikeville versus looking at the film against Cumberland's to, you know, maybe fix those things that may be issues?
We still doing about 50-50 of both. So when we watched last year's film to show, just from an example defensively, how we didn't fit properly and how when we did fit properly, we were doing things right. And we used the Cumberland's film to also show that, look, we got beat last week because we didn't fit properly. So this is what it looked like last year when we did that. So, you know, it's a little bit of both. But, you know, most of our film work has been doing off of practice film on us. You know, we met with the defense this morning in position groups, and it was all practice film. You know, and offensively the same way. It's mostly practice film, just trying to fix our things from practice.
Walk me through maybe kind of the injury report and eligibility issues last week. You had some guys you were hoping to get back. Jeremy Bruce banged up. I think Silent Drake was banged up a bit. Where are you guys at going into this ball game?
Well, Silent will play. Silent's, you know, we limit him in practice, but what he has, he'll struggle with all year, so he'll play. Bruce, we're expecting him to play. Not sure he'll start, but he will play. We'll have LaCondre Vassar. He's a new name for us. He was a transfer kid that we didn't get eligible in time, and he's ready to go now. So he'll move into the 2 deep for us on defensive line. We expect Jacob Lamb to be back. You know, face we hadn't seen in a couple of years. A steady receiver for us. He'll get some reps in there and play. And we still have a few more guys out there we're hoping to get back. A couple of our corners, you know, last week our 2 corners had to play the entire game. When we need to rest one, we will move a safety down. So Keith Foster is actually out this week as safety, but we have a couple of corners back that'll be in the lineup to help us with some depth.
You talked about Vassar. I think Michael Hunt, another guy that you've got on that defensive line. So getting some bodies on that defensive front after a team that, you know, you have to face the run 65 times is obviously a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we knew going into last week's game, and we talked about it, that we were shorthanded on defense. I think we went into the game with 15 available bodies, I think, and against a power team that's kind of rough. So we'll have a little more help this week. Now, if whether or not they'll be ready to truly help us, we'll have to see. But we'll have some more help, and I think it's big getting Lamb back on offense. That gives us a little more experience on offense, but also a little more quality, depth, and another threat.
But the Tigers take the field at 7 p.m. against the University of Pikeville. 7 p.m. the kickoff here. You can hear it on the Campbellsville University Sports Network, 88.7 The Tiger. And Coach, good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Thomas and the Tigers again on the air, 7 p.m. The Tiger Tailgate Show at 6:30. We'll be back next week here on the Perry Thomas Show.